Hi friends, and welcome to Web3Weirdos. It is my newest, my first, pretty much my only web series where I'm gonna be talking about Web3 everything. I am your host, Angie I Don't Know, aka Angie, and I'm gonna be deep diving into everything that I'm learning about Web3, things that I'm curious about, and all the questions that I have. So professionally, I am a tech community builder. If you don't know what that means, that's okay. But basically, I build technical communities for technical companies. Outside of work, you can find me doing things like kayaking, painting, traveling. If you haven't seen a sunset in the desert, are you even living? So my goal with this series is that I really want to open the doors for others to get involved in Web3. I see such a deep potential for wealth and creation in this space. At the same time, I see the people who are making the space. It's the same people who've made other technical spaces, other societal spaces before. And that's not to say that's not room for those people in this space. It's just that we literally have all our learnings from the past, and it would be a shame if we do not incorporate them when building this new world. And if we are not a part of that culture as it gets created, we're going to get left out. And if we get left out of the culture when it gets made, it's gonna get sold back to us at a premium. And so I really wanna open up the door for others to get into the space, people that look like me, basically everybody who's not in the space right now. There's infinite room for you in it today. And I want you to get in it now as early as you possibly can. Right now, there is a ton of hype in the space. It's a lot of, oh, I bought an NFT and I sold it for 20 million later, or I joined this DAO and we're throwing cool yacht parties. And it's like, that's amazing and that's awesome and that's cool. And I love seeing all the things that can happen in the space. But what about the real world changes? And what about the real world implications? What's gonna happen when every corporation that exists today decides they actually wanna build a DAO, which is a decentralized autonomous organization. And we can talk about that later, but what happens when they all decide they want to build DAOs, and now in order to use their platform, say Facebook, you actually have to pay a crypto token to get in, and they set the price at that, and now you no longer have access to the space. This series is for people who have pretty much little to no technical experience and are sort of just hearing the buzz about Web3. And again, I'm talking NFTs, I'm talking crypto, I'm talking $69 million JPEGs being sold by Christie's auction house, okay? So those people who are hearing it, curious about it, but don't really know where to start, this series is for you. I will also preface it by saying I am not an expert. I just got into the space about a month ago, okay? And I have no shame saying that. But I am a community builder and I love bringing people together and I love sharing what I'm learning. As always, something you'll hear in the Web3 space is do your own research. And so I highly encourage you to explore other avenues, explore other creators. And I tell this to everyone, the quickest way to feel included is to learn the language so you understand what people are talking about. So down below in the resources, I'm going to list a link to one of my favorite language guides for Web3. It's gonna break down all those common buzzwords that I've mentioned and that you keep hearing about, so you kind of understand what people are saying, what people are tweeting about, and slowly as you start learning those words in that language, it'll all start making sense. So I think the best place to start with Web3 is to understand how we got to Web3. Take a little dive with me back in time. You might remember this if you're of age. You go back to the 1990s, you're gonna remember those early static web pages. And I'm talking, I don't know, AOL, Yahoo, early Yahoo before chat came along. So these early static read-only web pages where you could basically open them, read something, and that was pretty much it, okay? There was nothing exciting about them besides the fact that they were new technology and they were the web. They laid the foundation for everything that was to come. We didn't call that Web 1 back in the day, but that was Web 1. It was the first iteration of the web. Fast forward 5-10 years or so, we started getting Web 2 features brought into the space. And so Web 2 is what everybody is more familiar with. It's what we're in right now. You're gonna have your Amazons popping up, your Facebooks, your different chat rooms, your different communication centers, things like that. And so basically Web 2 came around and allowed for reading and writing, which was really cool. So now I could go to my friend's page and I could read what they were writing about on their blog, and then I could put my own comment. Some places allowed me to create user accounts so I could track my comments, and It started to become a more interactive, a more social space for users and consumers. Then Web3 came along and it kind of changed the game. So not only can I read and I can write, but I can also create on my own. And the reason that's possible in Web3 is that instead of using centralized servers and technology to build on top of, we are now allowed to build on top of decentralized servers that didn't really exist before. And so that's that term you keep hearing, blockchain. And I'm not going to get too deep into blockchain because I think you can do your own research, again, understanding what blockchain is. And there are so many different people who explain it 1,000 times better than I ever will. But basically note that it is a decentralized unit that you can build on top of. And they create these different blocks that form in chains and keep all the data there on these peer-to-peer decentralized networks, which basically just means that everybody becomes a host of sorts instead of one person owning the entire server. And so that creates for a lot of partial ownership of everything that gets created in this new Web3 space. So when I think about Web 1, Web 2, Web 3 in my own experience, it's kind of funny. So I started learning how to code back in 2010, 2011. And the first thing I did was I built this website called catsohmygod.com. I'm a big cat fan. Naturally, that's where the internet took me. And the website I built, because I was just learning how to build and I didn't know JavaScript at the time, was super basic. It was almost like a Tumblr. Like it was just a collection of cat photos you could scroll through and that was it. Then Web 2 came along and I had all these plans. I was learning Web 2 technologies and I had all these plans to build out my Cats Oh My God website. Okay. And so I had structured a cat chat room, user profiles, so you could have your cat profile pics and different cat lounges. People could start spinning up cat marketplaces and selling things online because that's what Web 2 technology allowed you to do. And it just became a more social, interactive space for all the cool cats to hang out. But now that Web 3 is coming along, I'm thinking, okay, well, if I were to build out my Web 2 cat land, it would still be owned by the centralized catverse, or AKA whatever hoster I have. And so maybe that's GoDaddy, maybe that's Namecheap, but basically some centralized server is gonna own my site. The platform that I build my website on is also owned by someone. Maybe that's Squarespace, maybe that's Wix, you know? And so there's not a lot of ownership for me. And basically, I am at the whim of whatever these other platforms decide to do. And we've all seen what happens when Facebook goes down for a day, right? Everything gets shut off. And so that doesn't sound too fun for me as a builder and a creator. But in Web3, now if I were to build my catsohmygod.com, I could actually build it directly on the blockchain. And so nobody owns my site, I own it. I have the original lease and deed to it. It is mine. And not only can I have like a social universe, but I can actually have like a tokenized community. And that's another term you'll hear in Web3. And so I could sell like a user token, an access token to get into the catverse. You pay your coins, you get into the catverse. Now different members of the catverse own the actual catverse. Now they're pooling together to decide what are they going to do with all these cat tokens that they collected and where are they going to invest them or spend them or use them to better the community. And so now suddenly I don't just have a website with a bunch of users, but I have a community with a bunch of owners. And that is a central difference in Web 2 to Web 3. Now we are no longer just users of a product in a space, but we are owners of what it is that we're supporting. If you take away anything from this video, it's that I'm no longer a user, I am an owner. Web3 is kind of cool, right? Like, it really does change the game of what is possible on the web. And as we move to a more internet-first society, it's going to be important that we as people actually own what it is we're creating. And that is what I'm so excited about for Web3. And again, I'm going to drop some notes and resources down below that I think are really helpful to kind of cement some of these understandings into place. We'll be dropping Web3Weirdos every Wednesday going forward. I might pop in with an extra video here and there, but gonna try to keep a weekly cadence for now. There's so much going on in the space. I want to capture it all and I don't want to overwhelm anyone. And so anyways, follow along. Please be sure to like and subscribe to the page so that way you do not miss any drops. And please leave your questions or comments down below, because next episode I am gonna incorporate some questions, some Q&A into the episode, and I would love to hear what it is that you're wondering so I can better address it in the episodes coming forward. If you don't already follow me on social, I am Angie I Don't Know on Twitter and Instagram. Definitely follow me on Twitter for Web3 updates, drops, cool things that I'm excited about. And follow me on Instagram if you're trying to figure out what house I'm decorating next or where I'm going kayaking. You can also really help by sharing this video with any friends you have who are curious about Web3, trying to figure out how to get involved, and are looking for a little guidance. Every episode's gonna cover a different topic. Today, I wanted to keep it light, just talk about the web's evolution to understand how we got where we are today. Thanks for joining me, and I will see you next time in the metaverse. I joke, I will see you next time right here or on Twitter or on Instagram.